all of that is to come. But right now, I'm absolutely thrilled to say that Van Connor, the film critic, is in the studio with me. This is weird.
I'm not talking film, that's what it is.
I know.
Yeah.
You're not talking film, and B, you're not just on my screen.
I know, right?
You're an actual person.
Shorter in person, I know.
No, I'm sure. I always say that.
Hobbit over here.
I'm a hobbit. So that's probably why we didn't notice, right? It's like a little bit. Now, Van, just before we get to the papers, is it just me being thoroughly depressed with the state of the nation, or do I have very good reason to be? Because it just feels like everything's not going right.
I mean, I could just gesture wildly to the nearest window and completely reaffirm your position there. I don't think that's an unreasonable viewpoint on the state of the nation at all, to be honest.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think we're so bad at everything at the moment?
I think it's been a very depressing 21st century as far as the state of the British nation goes, to be really honest, especially in the last 15 or so years. In fact, more or less, for my money, since pretty much the end of Gordon Brown, start of the coalition kind of era. I figure that was kind of the tipping point where things started to get a bit bleaker.
Is it just down to politics, do you think?
I think that colours a lot of things. I think politics does colour the general day-to-day state of the nation. I think, you look at the cuts and austerity and things like that, and it has that knock-on effect of, it bleeds through to you eventually.
Yeah.
In even the most profound, tiny little ways.
It kind of just feels like it's more than that. I think it feels to me like we've lost our identity, that we don't know who we are or where we're going. And I always think that you need to know where you're going in order to get there.
I see what you mean as well. I think even on a sort of pop cultural level, it doesn't feel like there is a sort of status quo for British culture anymore. It's not like in the 90s when you had Cool Britannia and things like that. It's not like that. It would be great if we could have something like that again. But I just feel like at this stage we don't really have a sense of in-baked pop cultural national pride anymore in that specific way. Certainly not to the extent that for Americans sort of do as an evergreen stamp on themselves. We don't have anything quite like that. I don't think we've had anything like that in particular, say, since the 90s.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And we desperately, I think, to pull us all together, we need that identity, don't we? We need to figure that out. Well, listen, that's what we think about this. So give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Right, let's start looking at the front pages. And in your wheelhouse is Ben Affleck and Jennifer, they're still together, Jennifer Lopez. Who thought that was going to happen?
Not Jennifer Garner, I would imagine.
I mean, they seem to have had their troubles, and they're upset very publicly, haven't they? I mean, she seemed to berate him at some awards ceremony recently for looking miserable or not paying attention to her or something.
I absolutely adore Ben Affleck, just as a rule.
As an actor?
No, just as a human man.
Right.
Because every behind the scenes, every bit of papped footage you've ever seen of Ben Affleck is nearly always just him demonstrating how truly past whatever he's doing he is.
He's over it, isn't he?
He really
His
is.
face is over it.
I saw a video of Affleck and J-Lo, it must have been a month or so ago, in which he was literally opening a car door for her and carrying her coffee, and you could just see on the man's face that they were clearly mid-row, but he's just like, I'm still going to hold the door for you. I'm still a gentleman. He very much, that is Affleck to a T. I mean, we tend to think of him now for the smoking out the back door meme that you see of him. Sad Affleck, I think, was what we coined in 2016.
He always looks sad. He always looks like he's a little bit lost.
I figure that's the trade-off. Because, I mean, obviously, I think most guys, if they were married to Jennifer Lopez, would be the happiest people you've ever met in your life.
Yeah.
Leave it to Ben Affleck to be the other way.
To be the miserable one. He looks like he's wearing a fake beard in this picture. It's not a good image. And this is a documentary, The Greatest Love Story Ever Told. Is this about them?
Yeah, it is to extent. I believe it is. She's put one out recently that's about,
it's all about
her life over the past few years.
That is ego, isn't it?
I mean, she funded it. That's the best part. No one commissioned this. As far as I know, she funded it. It's a passion project. She funded it and then sold it on, which is that's something you only get to do at a certain level of fame. That's something only like she or Beyonce could do.
I mean, how can you fill a whole hour talking about yourself?
I mean, I'm a raging narcissist, so I probably could, if I'm honest.
I just think it's a really bizarre thing to do. But there you go. The happy couple.
Well, half a happy couple.
Half a happy couple, yeah. I'm not even sure that half is happy, but there you go. Still, they are an achingly beautiful couple to look at, so that's all right. Sweden is finally given the go-ahead to join NATO. This is not going to please the Russians, is it? Putin is not going to be happy about this. But Hungary originally had a real issue with this and blocked the country's membership. But now it seems after a 2-year standoff, this is now going to happen. So that's front page of the Times again. Sweden finally given the go-ahead.
I think I was reading on this that this alters the political infrastructure in terms of, doesn't it give Sweden the second biggest, the biggest share of the border now?
Yeah,
doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. Sweden now, and Russia is not happy with this, and you can expect. And I think the Swedish now are mounting lots of military exercises and are making sure they've got enough in the way of soldiers and equipment in preparedness for Russia being really angry about this. So we'll wait and see what that does. Right, so let's move to... Hunt lines up a new vaping tax.
Yes.
Yeah. So for those of us who've given up smoking and taken up vaping, it seems that we can't win.
No, we can't. No, we can't. The government just wants to persecute you, Petri. That's what it is. If you smoke in any way, shape or form, they will get you, and then whatever you switch to, they'll get you there too.
They'll get you more. I mean, this is not going to be popular. Again, they're looking at a 2p cut in income tax, but they're looking at adding 2% above interest level to cigarettes and 12p to rollies.
I thought we were banning we were banning the disposable ones last week, was it? Or
And now they're going
to tax them as well. Okay.
So we're going to tax them as well. Hunt's expected to use next week's budget to cut the national insurance, by 2p, and then levy a tax on vaping. I mean, I guess I always knew this was going to happen, because if they tax people out of smoking, and then people start vaping, where are they going to get their money from? It's the same with electric cars and petrol cars, isn't it?
It is that thing, isn't it? This is one of those logic problems that has bothered me for decades. Right, it used to be that the government taxed tobacco products, right? And that was a revenue they could pay off things with.
Yeah.
They would then persecute the smokers and try and get them to stop smoking, whilst at the same time collecting
the money.
This
billions. It's about 10 billion a year.
There's a supply and demand issue there that I don't think anyone's really thinking through.
I just think that you then start to just tax, take from one set of people and give to the other, and I guess that's what we're about. But it just seems to be very unfair that smokers, and I stand up for smokers. I was a dedicated and practically professional smoker and loved it.
Oh, outspoken advocate.
Yeah, outspoken advocate. And I just think, if there's very little in this world, as I've been saying, left for you to enjoy, look, it is dangerous, but all smokers know that, right? We're not idiots.
Well, I mean, I've seen the movie Cats, so I'm never allowed to quit smoking ever again.
Never.
So,
You're never allowed to. No, you've got to keep smoking. Yeah. You've got to keep smoking for that voice.
Actually, it's cigars. Thank you.
Cigars
for the voice.
Because if you stop, you might start to sound like that, and that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work for you. That wouldn't work at all. Well, Hunt has been weighing up a 2p cut in income tax, but the £13.7 billion a year cost makes it unaffordable at the present. What are they spending our money on? HS2.
I mean, are they even doing that anymore? Have we not given up HS2 yet?
We have bits of it anyway. But we've also, there was that 35 billion they spent on an app that didn't work during COVID.
I thought we were meant to have an extra 350 million quid a week.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember
That's
that?
what Boris promised.
Have we found it under the couch yet?
No. We haven't even found the couch.
It was on a bus and everything.
It was.
Yeah.
It was true. No, I mean, seriously, absolutely ridiculous. So that's your Times tomorrow. Oh, this is interesting, though, right at the front, under the title on the flag, stressed and off sick. This is a story that I saw earlier on. Actually, I pulled it to talk about with my phone in. and it was on the front page of the Mail, which I nicked from you, so you didn't have it to talk about.
Somehow I saw it. I don't know why.
Generation Sick Note. Young people are increasingly blaming mental health problems for being jobless. Now, if you read into this, it actually talks about the fact. Frank Furedi, who from the University of Kent, I've interviewed him. He's a sociology professor. I've interviewed him loads of times, and he's basically saying that we are medicalising things like heartbreak, or being dumped, which is obviously something you would know nothing about, but
You would be shocked.
so that the young people can't cope in the way that when I was dumped in my youth, you just had to get on with it, right? But now it's being and that's anxiety now, and they're signing themselves off sick. Is there a generation of snowflakes now?
I mean, there's no straightforward and easy answer to that. I mean, I would argue. I mean, in my lifetime alone, you just look at the world events that have befallen millennials, and I can only imagine from Gen Z's perspective what that looks like. I mean, I existed in a time before the internet and before we had certain. I mean, ADHD was barely a thing when I was coming up.
Yeah.
And obviously now it's a diagnosis that is more and more common. But to use that particular one, what do you expect there when you have a generation that has literally grown up with screens lining their world?
Yeah.
So there are explanations for these things, but also, as you say, the terminology wasn't there before, and I don't think it's weaponizing so much as it's putting labels on things that, because they were undefined, they were unnamed before, doesn't mean they weren't there. It's just they weren't particularly fixated upon. They didn't have that handy badge.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? If you're told, right, you've been dumped and you're heartbroken, and it is pants, right? It is a really horrible thing to happen, and you feel bad for a long time, and you cry a lot. I'm talking about myself now.
Oh no, I did.
And you eat chocolate a lot, but then for a doctor then to tell you that is a mental health issue. It clearly is an issue, right? Because you're unhappy and all of that. But it's not I would say it's not a mental health issue. So, and you're allowed to say now, oh, I have a mental health issue because I'm heartbroken.
I think in the case of heartbreak, and I'm speaking for myself on this one, it does go hand in hand with depression. I mean, I started undergoing therapy after my last serious breakup, and I'm very stringent about I do not ever want to be on any kind of medication, but that's just me personally.
Yeah.
I don't have any actual conditions that you would define. It is just a talking thing for me. But I was quite depressed at first.
So I mean, yeah, but it's like, would you have signed yourself sick off work?
No, I was at work the next day.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, that's what I think. I think that sometimes if we give something a name, it takes on more power.
Yes, very true, actually.
And I do agree that heartbreak and things like that can lead to depression or anxiety, but I wonder if we
going with
do you know what I mean?
your,
I just think look, we've all been through. Basically, what I'm saying is we've all been through it. Grow a pair, put your big girl pants on, your big boy pants on, and get on with it.
I mean, I will say for the younger generation, who
you're closer to in age than I am.
I doubt that, for starters, Patrick. But I will say, I mean, I feel like my generation kind of gets the best of both worlds because we kind of sit in the middle. Whereas I feel, but at the same time, we are more aware of what came before, what the world was like before, for instance, 9/11 and things like that.
Yeah.
And to a younger generation who've only ever lived in that post 9/11, post war on terror, post Brexit, post Trump world, like that's to an extent, like I feel you'd have less to complain about in one sense because you don't know that it can be better.
I agree with that. I agree with that, and you don't know that it can be worse either. And that's also the thing, isn't it? That if you get young people who go, oh, this is the worst thing. It's like when you watch it's one of those talent shows, and the kids go, they're 16 and they go, this is my last chance for fame and this is my last chance. And you think, oh my God, what are you talking about? You have absolutely no idea what the world is like. And you're going, oh, boo-hoo, this is my last chance to be famous or to whatever. I do think that... I think that generation we're talking about have lived in a unique period of peace until until recently, so they don't know how much worse it could have been.
It's very true.
It could be, and maybe that's why this is all so terrible now.
But I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I saw a lot of the world when I was younger, and it's a terrifyingly bleak, depressing world. It really is.
Yeah,
it
and
really
it certainly
is.
is at the moment.
This is why I like comedies so much.
This is why, I'm asking the question that I'm asking tonight, because I just think we need, things like this. Young people increasingly blaming mental health, but it's actually, we're like if your partner dies and you grieve, there's now a mental health condition associated with that, and it's like, look, we get that is awful and bad and terrible, but is it a mental? It's life. Why are we, saying that anything bad in life is a mental health issue?
But I definitely side with you on that one.
Yeah.
I
It's
will
weird.
never understand the need that people have to quantify
To put a label
general
on it.
emotion.
Yeah,
But
I don't get it. You feel the way you feel, and sometimes it's really bad, and sometimes it's okay. Other times it can be, better than okay. Right. So let us have a look. Do you want to have a look? Let's do the daily. Do you know what? I'm going to take a quick break because I'm getting glared at. Right. We're going to take a quick break, but Van will be here with me in just a few moments. Hello and a good evening to you. It's Petri here until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. And with me in the studio is Van Connor, who's better known for his criticising of films. Is that fair to say? No, criticise. Well, you are called a critic.
rant about?
Rant about, yeah.
Verbally dismantle?
Yeah, that's it.
Disparage? Besmirch?
Yeah, sometimes you like them, though.
Sometimes I like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Dune recently. That was very good.
Was it?
Oh, it's excellent.
Was it?
It really was. I mean,
'Cause
the
the
first
one
one's all set up. The second one's way better.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
The second
but
one's like Space Ben-Hur.
if you can't get through the first one, you're not really going to try the second.
Look, they had me at Florence Pugh. Look, as soon as they put Florence Pugh in that, they knew they were getting my ticket money.
Yeah.
As it happens, I was seeing it for free, but doesn't matter.
That's not going to draw me in. Not at all.
Oh, well, I will say my mum was eager to see it for Austin Butler. She loves
Oh, okay.
Austin Butler in Masters of the Air, apparently. So
yeah.
she has to
Oh,
see.
she's got good taste.
Yeah, she has to see.
Yeah, no,
Dune
maybe
for
I'll do that. Let's keep looking through the papers. And the Daily Star, I love the Star. What are they talking about? Sing for your supper.
They'd like us all to sing to our dinner, apparently. Apparently, it's meant to be a good thing. We should apparently sing to our food before we consume meals, which is...
What an absolute load of rot. So a celebrity health guru, that's the way you lose me.
Yeah, when
There.
you put those three words together.
Yeah.
Those are three words that should not ever be put together.
Ever.
No.
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 A celebrity health guru says we should sing to our food to improve well-being. She also says we should eat pudding before dinner. Now that I like.
I like that idea.
I like that idea. Yeah. I do occasionally. It's a good idea to go to a restaurant and eat your food backwards.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, not with your back to the table, but start with pudding, and then have others, and then end with I like pudding.
I'm
right?
still hung up on the celebrity health guru. I'm not going to lie.
What? I mean, and that would make restaurants really uncomfortable, wouldn't it? If everyone's singing to their food.
I think it would. But also, if your mate said to you one day, I'm going to bring my new boyfriend out, you're going to meet my new boyfriend, you asked, oh, that's cool, what does he do? And your mate said, celebrity health guru.
I'd say I don't want to meet him.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? Yeah, exactly.
I'd be like, no.
No.
It's
like,
not.
nil pois, no.
No. Please don't.
No.
And so what else? They've got nothing else on there.
But they are proud to love animals. So they don't want you eating animals because they're apparently proud to love them. So you can sing to them,
you
but
can
not
sing
eat
to them.
Yeah.
And somebody's been out with the Pritt stick and the cutouts of vegetables. That's why I want to work for the Daily Star.
Clearly. Their Photoshop skills are legendary, aren't they?
I mean, look, that must be such a lot of fun. Can you imagine the meeting in the morning? Right, who's going to do the sticking today? Who's got the glue?
In this day and age, that's frankly shocking, because could we not AI this?
What were they going to do with all the glue they've got? They've got glue.
Give it to their readers?
They've got a little table, and they've got people cutting out pictures, and that's what keeps them busy. So that if they AI'd it, They're out of work.
Fair play.
Yeah. The Daily Express. House builders probed over alleged collusion. I was talking about that at 10 o'clock. Why the first joys of spring are worryingly here too early.
They weren't this morning. I was freezing.
Absolutely brassic.
Yeah.
It was really cold. I don't know what they're talking about. These are words you probably don't hear very often, but I thought about unwrapping my banana tree today, but then I was convinced that it's still going to be a bit cold.
Well, thank God you didn't unwrap that banana, Petrie.
No, I put them to bed for the winter, right? Because they're basically banana trees are plants, and they're not trees at all, and they're largely water. So if you don't put them to bed and wrap them in blankets and things for the winter, the frost kills them. So I was thinking about unwrapping them, and I was then persuaded that it's still a bit. We could still get a frost.
I learnt this whole thing from a Danish movie recently about potato farming and frost. So
yeah, it's perilous. I mean, it's a real worry for us gardeners. Frost. I'm not really a gardener.
I am now aware of the war between gardeners and frost. To be fair, thank you very much, Mads Mikkelsen.
And you know, you have to go and buy fleece. Special fleece for them and wrap
I've
them
one of
up,
those USB heated ones. Did you get one of those? They're great.
No, I think that might kill my banana tree.
No, for yourself. Like
For yourself?
Out there.
Oh no, I haven't. I should get one of those.
Should,
actually.
yeah.
Because I go walking a lot with the dog, so that would be nice. Right. So the major front page of the Daily Express in big letters: get him back. Tories rally round race row. Not easy to say. Lee Anderson. This is 30p Lee, who once famously said that you could survive on 30p a day.
Yep.
Red Wall Tories are demanding that Lee Anderson be brought back.
I'm sure they are.
There's going to be a lot of people. There's a lot of messages actually on. Not for this programme, but for others, saying that Lee Anderson speaks for me. This is when he made a comment about Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London, and really in relation to the number of pro-Palestine marches that seem to be happening and don't seem to be being stopped. And if it was other people, they might have stopped them, but not there. So Lee Anderson, the Tories falling short of calling him racist or saying that his words were racist, but saying that his language had been clumsy.
I mean, that's somewhat understating it, I think. Clumsy?
I mean, clumsy.
Was he Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, how do you accidentally say, Sadiq Khan is in the pay of...
I've come up with some doozies in my time, but good Lord.
You want to take some lessons from Lee there.
Clearly.
30p Lee. Right, so, this is awful, the Mirror, that 100 kids a day are victims of sick online blackmailers, and that's what takes us back to what we were saying earlier. There's this young guy, 16-year-old, private school boy, who took his own life after he must have put some nude pictures or something out there.
He was solicited into providing sexually explicit images.
And he killed himself. And we were saying that earlier, weren't we, about Van, about how young people have had to deal with stuff that we never did have to deal with.
No, they don't, and they don't have that frame of reference for a world that's previous to that. And you see a lot of this in the way that younger audiences, for instance, absorb media and things like that. They have no interest in using film as an example. Won't watch a movie from before the millennium. It's just not a thing that happens.
Really?
There was no cinema before The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, for instance, in the mind of the average Gen Z person. And the knowledge of the world seems to work that way. A 20-year-old told me recently, in a conversation about Oppenheimer, that World War II was when we fought France. But, yeah.
What do they learn at school?
I have absolutely no idea.
No idea. It's really sad that these kids are getting these blackmailers. I mean, being tricked into sending naked pictures and then being absolutely hounded until this young man took his own life. It doesn't seem to matter how often we tell these kids, don't do it. It's really daft. It shouldn't be. It doesn't seem to sink in.
Well, it's one of those things that's different when you are that age. It's just like shut up, grandma, what do you know, kind of
Yeah.
thing. It usually comes down to that sort
Yeah.
of childish attitude, which, we were all that age once. But the rise in digital and online crime of this manner in the past few years, we can actually directly trace back to the pandemic. It was a massive surge past the beginning of the pandemic. I was watching a thing this morning about the pig butchering phenomenon and how that had risen up when Chinese casinos had been forced to close during lockdowns of the pandemics, and the people who were recouping the earnings of those casinos wanted their money and effectively just turned them into human trafficked call centers, for lack of a better term. And that's why we suddenly had so much more fraudulent and criminal activity in that regard, and this would be something like that as well.
I mean, I don't know, again, what kids are being taught, but I am grateful that sometimes that I am the age that I am when I see this, and that my son is the age that he is, because he's 26 now, and kind of missed that. I mean,
Missed
there
the
were still
window
the
nicely.
phones, but he just missed that window, and just missed that the I mean, yes, he had phones and things like that, but he didn't have a smartphone until he was much, much older, because I didn't.
I mean, I'll be honest, if I'd have been killed by now if I would have had Snapchat when I was a teenager.
Oh, my God.
Good Lord.
I know. I mean, honestly, if there, I'd hate to think of the clips that would be out there if there was filming when I was a teenager.
Just got MSN Messenger when I was a teenager, so,
Yeah, I mean, I remember texting used to take about an hour, where you had to go A.
When you have to use a number pad.
B,
Yeah, the good old
C,
number days.
Where's T? Right, oh, T. I mean, my God, that took forever. Young people won't get that reference at all. The new Eternal.
I know.
Do we need to talk about that?
Well, I mean, there's no Louise, so you've not got my money, for starters.
No.
I mean, Louise was the whole appeal of Eternal.
Yeah.
That's why she was the only one who went solo.
Yeah, so that's she's the only one that we really.
So, she was the Cheryl Cole of her time.
Yeah.
Arguably didn't do quite as well, but she got a footballer out of it.
That's all anybody.
Before it was
wants, isn't
cool.
it?
She did that before it was cool.
Right, Friends and Traitors. Have you watched Traitors?
No, I will admit I've watched none of the Traitors. It's one of those things where at this stage I'm afraid to ask. But I know that there is a celeb version in the works.
Oh my God, I want to be on this programme.
What is it?
Well, it's basically a bunch of people who lie to each other, and it's like
So
the House
married
of Commons.
people?
It's like the House of Commons, and the idea is to win some money. So there are traitors and there are good people. The good people, and I can't remember what they're called, but anyway, the traitors are hidden from sight. I mean, they're there and they're sitting with you, pretending to be the good guys, and the good guys have got to pick out the traitors. And if they don't pick out the traitors, then the traitors can silently have them killed overnight. Not in real life, but and then at the end, is it going to be a traitor that's lied their way to the money, or is it going to be one of the?
I was briefly titillated by the idea of some mercenary or assassin chasing Ryland Clark around a castle or something, trying to execute him. But
And it's interesting because where it comes from, I think it's from Denmark. I think originally they've only ever done the celebrity version, but we've had 2 series where we've only done the people thing. But I think a celebrity series would be great. Friends legend Courtney Cox is being lined up as the first signing for the celebrity spin-off of TV show The Traitors. A sitcom star, 59, is a pal of the host Claudia Winkleman, and they have to put the ages in, don't they?
They do.
52,
I mean,
especially when it's women.
On that note, actually, I will point out that there is something a little bit iffy about this mock-up they have done of Dear Courtney, which is to say Courtney Cox has not looked like that since the late 1990s. Which
Probably not. Yeah.
No. But I watched every episode of Cougar Town, and believe me, Courtney Cox does not look like that.
And it's a shame because she's a beautiful looking woman. She doesn't
gorgeous
have to
woman,
be.
but-
She doesn't have to be.
I don't know why the need to use this outdated photo. Just show the woman as she actually appears. There's no shame in that.
But it's not. It's not good enough, is it, for women to age?
God
All Star
forbid.
Show wants Courtney. That's not how you spell Courtney.
Courtney? She's Courtney. Yeah, she's just
Courtney.
Courtney, I think.
Yeah, but look how they're spelt it like that for a reason. I don't know why.
Oh no, I think that is actually no. I think that is actually how she's spelled. If memory serves.
Oh, is it?
I think that is how she's spelled.
I'll let her off. Right, let's have a quick look at the Telegraph before we look at the stories that we might have missed from today. UK lagging 15 years behind on cancer survival rates. I mean, this just goes into my pot of nothing is working in this country at the moment.
Because we shut down all the surgeries and treatments every 5 minutes for nearly no reason.
I know.
Queen died, we'll postpone your treatment.
Yeah.
Pandemic, we'll postpone your treatment.
Any excuse.
Yeah.
Any excuse.
And if that's not the case, there's a strike.
I know. UK cancer survival rates are lagging 15 years behind other major countries because of lack of chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And lack of people, probably, and lack of will. So that's another thing. Army wives force the MOD to U-turn over housing. Plan to allocate property based on family size rather than rank is halted after backlash.
You can kind of see both sides of that one, can't you?
In a way. It's so interesting because I worked for many years in Germany on for British Forces Broadcasting. And it was interesting because the other ranks, as they were called, they'd be in a block of flats or whatever. It didn't matter the size of their family. And then you go to the Brigadier's house for tea, and it was like a mansion,
nice estate, yeah,
and with gardeners and everything. And you kind of get that, but they need to build houses that are more appropriate, perhaps. I think.
Sorry, I don't think there's an easy answer to that one in particular because you say it is an argument we can see both sides.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I would naturally prioritise the family size, but I think rank is an inherently silly concept. But I'm not in the armed forces, so I'm allowed to think that.
No, rank is absolutely everything.
Oh, I know.
Absolutely.
Son
everything.
of a captain.
And the worst of it, are you? The worst of it is the wives taking the rank of the husband. Oh, that used to drive me
awful.
Nuts.
Oh.
The Brigadier's wife is coming.
That's like those women that call themselves Mrs. Husband's name.
Yeah.
That's awful. Don't do that.
Oh, the funniest thing was I was at a gym once many years ago. I've got over it. Don't worry. And so I was in the gym, and there was an actor from the programme Doctors. There talking to a comedian, I can't remember his name, but anyway, and they were both on the treadmills, right? And I was on a treadmill, and he turned to her and said, "Oh, so you're a nurse in Doctors?" And she went, "Oh no, I'm a doctor." And I was like, "No, you're not. You're an actor." No, you're not. I really wanted to go up to her and go, "You pretentious cat." But I didn't. Right, let's take a quick break. I'll be back in just a moment. Hello, good evening. It's Petrie here with you through until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. And with me in the studio is film critic Van Connor. I've tasked him, I gave him a job, and I said, right, find some stories that we might have missed from today's newspapers, and you've got a whole handful there. You've been a very busy boy.
Stack. I had like 20 entire minutes.
I like a man who does what he's told.
Oh, God. I'm not even touching that one. Where would you like to begin, Ms. Hoskin?
See, there we go. Good boy. Wherever you want, actually. It's fine.
Well, I mean, we do have this story. You came up with this one. This was the story that Mary Poppins is getting reclassified in its age rating. It's going to go from a U to a PG.
That just sounds crazy to me because Mary Poppins is the most, you would imagine, benign. I mean, some dodgy accents.
I was about to say, Dick Van Dyke's accent alone necessitates that it should be a hard 18.
It's practically a hate crime, Sam just said.
Well, that's it. I mean, the paper here is claiming that it's over racism rules, which is a kind of an oversimplification. There is an outdated term, which I don't think is particularly one that you hear every day. It's the term is Hottentots, as we're told here, which is a very antiquated term for South Africans, I believe. Oh. And this has seen its ranked up from a U to a PG. Just that one term.
One word.
It's because the term is used unapologetically or without context or explanation. That's why it has to be done. That's one of the stipulations of the BBFC ruling. I would argue it makes absolutely no difference to anybody ever, because a U and a PG may as well just be the same thing.
So what is the difference between the classifications then? The parental guidance is PG. So a child couldn't, like, I used to go to Saturday cinema, which is way before your time probably.
Still have Saturday cinema.
Yeah, oh, do they? And all we used to do is drink Kiora and run up and down the aisles. But we did occasionally watch films. So you wouldn't be allowed to put Mary Poppins on there with just children in the audience.
I think you still would, because parents are present at those things.
No, there
but
weren't
they're
any
not.
parents.
If you were just dropping kids, yeah, the idea is if it's a PG, there should be a parent there to supervise. There should be a parent or guardian to approve, the content. Whereas a U is literally universal.
Right. So you can't play a PG at a primary school, I was just told. If you were having a film day at school.
I don't think you can unless the teacher is in the room. Like, you can't. I'm not sure how that would work. Would the teacher technically qualify as the parent? It's parental guidance or parent or guardian, they do say. So I'd imagine the teacher falls into that category. When I used to work at Blockbuster years ago, we used to have a rule that when the trailer disc would break, in inverted commas, break, we were allowed to. That thing accidentally got snapped every month. You were allowed to put whatever movie you want on, as long as it was PG or below.
Right.
And you would actually be shocked, and this was in the mid-2000s, you'd be shocked how difficult it is to find a movie you like that's a PG or below. I watched The Mask and Superman a lot.
But there was recently in a cinema, wasn't there? It was a kids film that was being played, and they played a trailer for an adult's film beforehand.
That has happened a fair few times.
It was a mistake.
There's a fair few of those over the years. There was one famous incident in 2007, I think it was, where they played Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Like the full movie they started playing. I think it was before Surf's Up, the surfing penguin movie. They played that too. But this, with the age rating thing, this is happening a lot more and more often in the past couple of years, where we are seeing outdated things in movies, seeing their classifications pushed up.
I suppose the only other option is to edit them out.
Well, yeah, and you don't want to touch the movie, really.
No.
A few years ago, about 2021, the BBFC just cut a swath through a bunch of movies, specifically from the mid-1980s, reclassifying them from PGs to 12A. I had to actually go on a rival station and talk about this, and it was a lot more boring a conversation than I think they were expecting, because it was just admin. One of the cases in point was Ghostbusters.
Oh, right.
They had reclassified Ghostbusters from a PG to a 12A, and the argument was very simply that the 12A and 12 in general simply did not exist when the film had been made. So the choice was either make it a 15 or make it a PG, and they chose PG because it was arguably closer to. And if you remember Ghostbusters, there's one very, very specific moment that comes up during the song involving Dan Aykroyd and his zipper that you simply wouldn't put in a child-friendly film. PG-13, 12A, fine. But, yeah, so age rating things have to
It is interesting.
change.
I was watching on Netflix the other day. Is it The Eiger Sanction with Clint Eastwood?
I think so.
And I was watching the beginning of this, and he cops off with some totty, and there's a scene of them in front of a fire, the set-up love scene and everything, and he said, "Oh, there are many things I thought I'd given up," and so I'm just watching this, and he went, "Like rape. I thought I'd given up rape," and then reaches over to kiss her, and I thought, oh, that wouldn't be allowed today.
No, definitely
wow.
not. Wow.
I mean, I honestly was quite shocked. I mean, I wasn't offended, hurt, or started crying or anything, but I was kind of like, oh, that shows the age of that film.
I don't think you could even pull that off in a John Barrowman shark movie.
I mean, it was really quite startling, I'll say, not shocking. Right, what else have you got?
So, James Cleverly is taking on the campaign and cause of AI disinformation.
Thank God.
What were we going to do if James Cleverly did not step up to the plate and take this one for us? So he is having meetings with the heads of the various social media companies and tech giants to try and address the rise and the threats of AI-generated deepfakes and misinformation, which he fears will do serious damage in an election year. I should point out that this is all being spearheaded by a Home Secretary who's now on his 4th job title in 4 years. And none of these people had any issue with disinformation, deep fakes and fake news when it was serving their interests. So it's perfectly fine as long as you're trying to flog an imaginary 350 million quid on the side of a bus, but not so much when you're actually facing the first election in about a decade that you might actually lose.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how they suddenly get principled about things.
It's funny, that.
And like you say, somebody who's had so many jobs, we're meant to take them seriously.
4 years.
I know.
If you'd presented 4 different shows in 4 years,
And I didn't last very long in any
yeah,
of them.
I think we'd ask questions.
Yeah,
wouldn't we?
well, I wouldn't be presenting. This business is much more brutal than politics.
Or you would be presenting on the kind of station that would employ James Cleverly. So
Yeah,
there you
either
go.
way. Either way, not good. No, I'm completely with you on that one. Completely. What else have you got?
We are getting a rotating revolving restaurant in central London for the first time since 1971. And this is coming by way of the recently acquired BT Tower.
It used to be the post office tower.
Yeah, well, this is a Grade 2 listed building. Was opened in '65. Did have a revolving restaurant when it opened, and they had to shut this down in '71 after an IRA bomb.
Oh, yeah.
And now that the MCR conglomerate has bought,
They're turning it into a hotel,
yeah,
basically.
turning this into a luxuriant hotel, you are going to be able to eat in this revolving restaurant once more for the first time in 5 decades, and you'll be able to see all of London in 22 minutes. It'll be a 22-minute rotation. And
That's
you'll be
quite
able to...
fast.
That's
Faster than the wheel, isn't it? That boring big wheel that we've got.
Well, we used to have when I was growing up, I grew up in Q8, and we used to have a revolving restaurant in Q8 Tower that actually was, I think, would have been about 20 or so minutes. Doesn't feel that fast.
I remember going as a very little child, going to up there with my dad, and being really disappointed at how slow it was.
You wanted a waltzer, didn't you?
Oh yeah,
That's
I
what you
thought we
wanted.
were going to be whizzing around.
You want to
We
be
absolutely
centrifugally
were.
pushed to the inside of the
That's
glass.
what I thought
get
it was.
you.
Yeah. Anything else?
One story that I really love is so Drayton House, which is the real world stately home that's renamed Saltburn for the movie Saltburn, is seeing an unexpected uptick in tourism, unwelcome tourism it would seem. A variety of wacky characters simply popping out and just wandering around the grounds and trespassing because. This movie hit Amazon.
This is a private home.
This is a
right?
private home. This hit Amazon Prime over Christmas and became immensely popular overnight. I mean, nobody actually saw Saltburn before Christmas. I did. I reviewed it, but it didn't exactly make money. And then it hit Prime, and everybody saw it. And the movie has driven tourists to Drayton House. Now, I want to know. I have so many questions about this. Right. First of all,
What are they doing there?
Right, what are they doing there? Has anybody done the song bit yet?
Oh, yes.
Because I would.
They must have
I'm
done.
not going to lie. I'd
course
strip.
you would.
First thing I'd do would be strip off.
Murder on the dance floor.
But yeah,
You've got
I'd
to.
be stripping off and be like, right, go on, follow
Go
me
on
around,
then,
film
follow me
me.
around, film that.
And the
Yeah.
other one is, has anyone done anything to the ground there? If we follow that,
Yeah. No, probably.
You have to imagine someone has.
Of course
right?
they have. Why wouldn't you?
I really hope there are no graves actually on the ground, because that was, if you've not seen Saltburn,
You've got to see it. You've got Richard E. Grant.
Oh, he's so good in it, isn't he?
I love that.
Rosamund Pike for me, she's my MVP.
Oh, she is amazing.
She's a dame,
great
is
in
old
everything.
Ros.
Yeah. She's a great cast, absolutely brilliant cast, a great film. But yeah, I wouldn't want them doing that in my garden.
No, definitely
Not. What else?
So, I love tech, I love robotics, and soon we are going to have a wave of what being called empathy robots. Robots that are designed to help, for instance, elderly patients with dementia.
You see, this is what's all wrong with this world. This is what's wrong.
The care-bots.
We can't be bothered with old people, so let's give them a robot. Mind you, I wouldn't mind a robot. You're right.
Do you know, I completely get it. I absolutely do. I mean, I spend enough of my day talking to my Alexa anyway.
Then you might as well get a robot.
I might as well. If I can have an Alexa that looks like Hilary Duff, I mean, you've basically just created the dream product for
that's
me.
a different topic altogether. Van Connor, thank you very much indeed. Stay with me. It's the phone in next.